Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be demoing the Santa Cruz Vala. A lot of you guys were really curious to see a comparison from the Vala versus the Bullet, because I did ride the Bullet as well, the newest one. And so yeah, today I'm going to be on the Vala. Santa Cruz guys were super cool, and they installed my own cockpit, so we're not running 800s this time around, and I get to run the grips I'm used to along with my handguards, so super excited about that. And then I obviously have my own pedals on here. Going to be also trying out these new tires because I've never tried these out yet, the Schwalbe Magic Mary radials. So super excited to try these things. And yeah, we're going to go and shred down the first trail over here. It's full of a lot of flat corners and other goodies, so let's get going. I don't know if this is the best trail to do it on because I've never actually ridden this trail, but I've been dying to ride it, so we're going to go ahead and shred down it. Let's see how it goes. Okay, let's see. Already hit my head on the ranch up there. Oh wow, this is kind of sick. Okay, it goes up here. Oh wow, I don't even know how you ride this. Okay, interesting. Woo! Oh, the upper line would have been better. Oh my gosh. Alright guys, don't judge me, I'm learning. This is kind of sick though, I will be honest. I will be, yeah. Like, wow, this bike is just so plush and it eats up small bumps. Because I'm riding this like I know it, trying to ride it like I know it. But I do not know it, nor do I know this bike. I will be honest though, that was kind of sick. Even though I like almost died like half the times, I think that was still a blast. We'll try another trail that I do know to really get a feel, but initial impressions is this thing is absolutely insanely plush and seems pretty supported too, so that's exciting. Okay, now we're going to be riding down a trail I've actually ridden plenty of times, so we'll get the actual feel for it. But so far I'm pretty stoked. Like it rips already. It feels like it's a normal bike with a motor. Like I can't feel the weight nearly as much as I did on the Bullet, nor can I feel the weight as much as I felt on my old Bullet or my dad's Strive On. Like, I'm super stoked so far. So yeah, we'll see. I obviously gotta do some more riding, but so far it feels good. Let's do it. Oh my gosh, it's just so responsive. How much boost. Oh my gosh. Like, this feels more lively than my Dreadnought. Yoo-hoo. Oh my gosh. It's just so easy to move around. Holy crap. It's so plush off the top while being easy to move around. Whew. There's a bit of rattling. I'm not 100% sure where that's coming from. You, oh my gosh, this bike rips. So there should be 98 psi in this thing, and there's way less. I just figured last time that it was really hard. It was really harsh. Obviously this time it's nice and plush, but the 98. Is that 98? No, it's 95.5. I don't know if this is gonna make it really harsh, but I figured their pump last time was really off. Either that or somebody messed up. So I'm gonna go ahead and not mess around with that. I might even check the clickers. 185. Okay, see, there was a little too much in the shock. Yeah, because if you take the pump off. Yeah, now it's perfect. The high speed was 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, well, that's Santa Cruz recommendations on the suspension. So we're gonna go take that out and see how that feels. All right, guys, we'll see how this goes. Hey, still feels lively. And then on this, right really. Woo! There's something like rattling around, which is a bit weird. Holy crap. Okay, that was very sketchy. Might take a click, 2 clicks. I'll just do 1 click of high speed compression, try to calm the front a little bit. Into the go. Okay, I found out what was rattling, guys. It's my water bottle. Look. Okay, so it's my water bottle. It looks like this bottle is a little tall for the frame. So I'll probably drink some water, and then I'll probably just leave my bottle at the truck, because that rattle drives me nuts, I'll be honest. I'm gonna try to open this up a bit. So I just did one on a low speed. It'll be dusty. Taking it a little easy. Trying not to overcook anything. Oh. Whoop. so good. I could definitely push it harder. So yeah, basically my current thoughts on this thing are, it's very lively and easy to move around. It's not, I can't push it as hard as my Dreadnought for obvious reasons. The Dreadnought's a high pivot, more travel, way slacker, way more, you know, downhill oriented geometry. But I definitely feel like I could push it harder than my, well, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable in my Norco optic, but initially this thing definitely feels a little bit easier to push. So I'd say it's like, you know, like it is, it's an all mountain. And so overall pretty stoked on it. It actually feels really good. So yeah, got cornered nicely. Very nice. All right, well, climb's decent. I was in the wrong gear, but yeah, it does have a shorter chainstay, so this definitely is going to climb a little. It's going to hinder its climbing, but honestly, it's pretty good. We're going to do a jump trail now, so get to kind of see how this thing jumps. Let's do it. Here we go. It is dry out here. Oh my gosh. It was super nice not too long ago. Oh, poor berm. Somebody blew the top off that. Whoop. This thing jumps really well. Holy crap. Oh yeah. That little skinny flick was sick. Trying to see out corners. I got a little itchy. Woo! Oh yeah, here we go. Climbing. Dude, it actually jumps super well. Well, we haven't tried it on anything steep yet, so maybe I'll try this right here. It might be a little sketchy, but I think we'll hop on the high line, because if you look down there, there's a lot of looks like that's not a corner and that's all dust, so I prefer not to hit that. So I'll probably go up to the side and yeah, see how that goes. Okay, it's sketchy. Okay, that was, I did not like that line that I picked. I should have committed a little harder. But yeah, no, it's fine on the steeps for sure. Oh, that's a tight turn. Here we go. Wow, this is a little easier when you have a motor helping. Oh, nice. That's it. Oh, wow. Let's do those corners really well. And I cleared the jump. All right, now a little jump section. A little windy, but not too bad. Boop. Oh, and did that turn a little funny? Oh, this climb's gonna be so much more fun. Nice little tech climb. Wow, that was a lot of fun. Holy, that trail's a banger. And this bike just handles it like a dream. And there's this jump I haven't hit. Might as well hit it. Should be pretty chill on this thing. Oh wow, you can oversend the crap out of that. All right, we'll get back to the place and talk about what I thought of the bike. All right, guys, we're back at the house, and now I'm ready to talk about my thoughts on the handling of the bike, plus my just overall thoughts on the Vala in general. Okay, so before I start talking about the bike at all, I wanted to get this out of the way. I did have my own cockpit on the bike. I just pulled it straight off my Dreadnought, as you can see back here. And Santa Cruz was cool enough to install that cockpit on the bike for me before I even laid hands on it. So I'm super stoked that I was able to use my own cockpit, because one of the biggest complaints I had with the Santa Cruz Bullet, the newer one I got a ride on not too long ago, was that the bars were 800 millimeters wide, which was really throwing the whole bike off for me. So being able to run my 770 millimeter bars was a huge improvement, and it really helped me narrow down and really focus in on the bike itself and less so the components of it. With that out of the way, we can get straight into what I thought of the bike. I'm gonna put this kind of in parts to try to keep it a little organized and less scattered. So we'll start with how the suspension felt and kind of what I thought of the suspension platform, because this is using the 4-bar system. You know, this was the first bike that Santa Cruz released where it didn't have a VPP system. It's got a 4-bar horse link. Okay, so basically the way that the bike felt, as I mentioned with the Santa Cruz Bullet, with the 4-bar, I noticed that it really did really well under braking. And like I mentioned with the Bullet, the reason that it does better under braking is the anti-squat. So them being able to change that with the extra space of the 4-bar system, made for it to really do well under braking. So for example, for those of you that might kind of not understand quite what I'm talking about, so basically on the older bikes where they would use VPP, they're a little bit space restricted. Some companies have pulled this off, such as Crestline, but for Santa Cruz in general, they were struggling with the rear end traction under braking, and basically the VPP system tend to skitter over things, so it's a lot more skittery and less planted. But with the 4-bar system, it really digs into the bumps when you're under braking, and it feels a lot more controlled, a lot more planted, and just a smoother ride in general. So that was something that was a huge improvement over the VPP that they were running on all the other bikes before. I also noticed that the suspension was quite supportive. I wasn't sure how it was going to be. With my experience of Fox suspension in the past, it was that the suspension tend to be blow through its travel to not make the suspension harsh. Anytime I tried to add support, it would give me pretty bad small bump, and just the fork felt harsh in general. But I think that they nailed it on the suspension design on the 4-bar system, because I noticed it was super supple off the top while being really supportive when you really needed it. Both front and rear, but I'm specifically talking about the rear here because that's the actual portion of the bike that's handling that. I'm sure part of it was that it was running Schwalbe radial tires, which from what I've heard will really absorb a lot of that small trail chatter. And I'm sure that was that's definitely true, but I think that a good part of it was also that the way that the bike handled that stuff. That brings me to talking about kind of how the bike handled in a liveliness environment. So obviously this is an all mountain bike. It's got 160 millimeters of travel in the front, 150 in the rear. So it's like an all mountain / trail e-bike. And this is where things got shocking for me. The bike felt like it wasn't even an e-bike. I went off this random jump that I've gone off of a ton of times on my enduro bike. Barely can get any airtime. Going on this, I was soaring. It was like kind of crazy, honestly, how well it was able to jump that for it being an e-bike. It did not feel like an e-bike in the air. It felt flickable, felt easy to get off the ground, And for example, like I've ridden a lot of different e-bikes out there. The most recent ones were the old Bullet, the new Bullet, and then the Strive On. I noticed that all those bikes, some were worse than others, just didn't want to leave the ground. And that was something that was a big red flag for me. So since I've kind of changed up my riding style, I'm trying to be more open-minded and really open up the trail, jumping up on the side to open up turns or whatever. I really want to be able to put the bike where I want it. And with those other bikes, I noticed I struggled with being able to move the bike where exactly I wanted it to. So with the Vala, I instantly noticed how well it was able to move around. And initially I was like, there's no way that this is going to feel good on the trail. Usually this type of behavior would mean that the suspension was set up wrong, because the last bike I demoed from Santa Cruz, the pressures were way off in the fork and the shock, and then I thought maybe rebound was set super open. Well, funny enough, like I said, the small bump was amazing. It was super supported and it just felt good. So I was like, this is honestly shocking. This is the first e-bike I've ever ridden where I actually felt like I could move it around and it felt like good. So I took it on a variety of trails. I took it on trails with flat corners, tight berms, chunky sections, small trail chatter, just to get a feel for everything. And a couple key things that really stood out to me were it did really well in the corners. It was very efficient. It pumped out of the corners very, very well. And it was really noticeable in the tight corners. So it does have a chainstay that's a little on the short side, but it's not too bad. For a medium, it's a 440 millimeter chainstay. And then the front center, the reach, is a 450. So the ratio is pretty good, but I think it could probably handle a little bit better if it had like a 445 or maybe even a 450 chainstay. But that arguably could hinder the way it handles in tighter situations. But I think it would have flat cornered better with a longer chainstay, and it probably would have been slightly more stable. But in another thing that I did notice is that the front end grip was not the greatest in certain scenarios, but I think there's a good chance that it wasn't actually the chainstay that made the front end grip kind of vague and light. I think there's two things that it could have been. One, the stack spacers were way up. They ran, typically what the Santa Cruz would run is like 40 plus millimeters in spacers. I think if I would have dropped it 5 or 10 millimeters, that could have helped. But I think a lot of it was also the tire choice. They were running I was running a dual Magic Mary. Magic Marys are not good for what I was riding that day, which was loose over hard packed. There was some loose corners where it really could bite, where it really felt really good. But in certain scenarios, the bike, the front end wanted to wash. And so I think either a different front tire or dropping the stack spacers, or even both, would make the front end feel a little less vague and a little bit more confidence inspiring in those situations. But other than the geo numbers there, again, the bike felt really good in those tight corners. It flat cornered pretty well. Obviously not as good as my Dreadnought, but to be expected. My Dreadnought's got a 450 chainstay with a 450 reach, so the ratio on that is like pretty much spot on. But it was honestly impressive with how well it was able to flat corner and how light the bike felt on the trail. And then you guys might be thinking, you're like, well, I wouldn't think it would do so well when it comes to straight line speed or stability, as it's kind of a shorter wheelbase, shorter chainstay, all that stuff. Well, honestly, it shocked me how well it actually did in those scenarios. So I rode a trail that's like a downhill track. It's where I typically set up my suspension, test big bikes, whatever. People shuttle that all the time on downhill bikes. And so I was like, okay, I'm curious how the Vala is going to handle that. And honestly, it handled it really well. Sure, it got hung up a little bit, and there was some sections where I could feel that the Vala was getting a little bit overwhelmed, but the bike just handled it really well. And honestly, if that was the bike I had to ride, like I'm totally happy with it. It didn't slow me down that much where it hindered my riding experience. It made it still really fun. It was very active and very easy to move around, like I said. Then I guess lastly, but certainly not least, about the bike handling was the climbing performance. This one comes back to chainstay length. Since it's got a slightly shorter chainstay, it does want to lift the front end a little bit in those steeper scenarios. So it wasn't anything spectacular. I think it climbed just fine. I typically won't do that many technical climbs, but if you're doing a lot of technical climbs, the Vala might be a little bit tricky. It's a little bit unstable in that scenario, in those scenarios. But I think it does well. It just climbs. I typically am going to be riding up like steeper fire roads or basic stuff, not much technical. It'll definitely climb up technical stuff. You just got to be mindful of getting your weight a little bit more forward. But then again, that hinders the traction on the rear tire. So obviously it's going to vary depending on what you're doing. But I think climbing was just mid. I think it did it fine, and there's no like standout features when it comes to climbing. And then in terms of the motor system, I'm not really going to talk much about this because I talked about it in the Bullet video. So if you'd like to see a little bit more about the motor and battery system, check out the Bullet first impressions video. But just a quick, brief overview of my thoughts on that. The Gen 5 is good. It's quiet. It doesn't rattle. Well, I pretty much no rattle. I don't really notice any rattle. And the battery is a 600 watt hour. That was a bit of a red flag for me personally. I really would like to be able to ride my bike for a long time, be able to at least swap the battery. Obviously you have the range extender, but the range extender then removes your water bottle, and it's extra. It costs a bunch extra and whatever. But if you guys do need a bigger battery, I would honestly probably just go for the range extender with the bike if you really are set on the Vala. But the range, for example, was I think it was just under 5,900 feet of climbing with like 27 or 26 and a half miles. I think that's solid. That was all in blue. I'm 165 pounds, all kitted up. And so I think that was pretty solid considering. It wasn't like dead, but it was close to dead. It was in the red in the last bar. So I think you probably could, if you did it right, in the right scenarios, get 6,000 feet on it pretty consistently in blue if you're around my weight. So I think the range is plenty adequate for most riders out there. I'm that type of guy that likes to do really big days. So, like, honestly, I'm the type of guy that likes to do on an e-bike, 10,000+ feet on the weekends. So I am kind of looking for either an 800 watt hour battery or a hot swappable battery. Hopefully I was able to help you guys out with deciding what e-bike you want next, or help your research. If you guys did enjoy this video, please smash that like button down below. And if you guys would like to see a Santa Cruz Bullet, the new one, versus the Vala, please smash that subscribe button down below. I will be making a video on that. That was a highly requested video for me and a bunch of others. So I'm going to be doing that video quite soon. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.